When I was in Uruguay on my mission, we had district conferences and zone conferences and mission conferences. And the zone conferences, most of the zones in the city in Montevideo, in the capital, were in there, and then the towns that outside of the city, like it was in a town named Pando, P-A-N-D-O, and then there was a place called Durango, which was up by, right on the border of Brazil. We had, Uruguay shares a border with Brazil and Paraguay, actually the rivers in Paraguay. And we had a lot of the Brazilian missionaries who'd come to our mission because they couldn't get their visas for Brazil because it was so Catholic. And then they'd work those borderline cities. But you go to Brazil, just, you wouldn't even know it. It was just in the middle of the town there was a street, and that was the border. And then when you went out of town is when they had customs and stuff like that. So everybody that lived in those border towns could cross over whenever they want. The Uruguayans could cross to Brazil, Brazil could cross to Uruguay. And then there was a town named Salto that was also that. Anyway, we had a zone conference up at one of those border towns. I think it was in Durango, I'm not sure. But we went up there and we had, they had places for us to stay. They had like kind of a hotel, motel thing. And it was, we were on the second floor. And it was right on a main street. Well, I don't think the mission president realized that it was Carnival. And we were up there, and we rode the bus up there. They had these buses called Onda. And they were like Greyhound buses, but they were souped up. I mean, these things would tear down the road. And their drivers, they're hand shift kind. And the motors were in the back and the transmission was in the back. So the driver was up there in the front trying to shift with this long rod, and you sit near the back, you hear going, and get in the gears. But they could really drive those buses. Anyhow, we went up there, and got there in the afternoon, and the mission conference, was going to start the next day. So we were trying to get some sleep that night, and all night long they had the parade and people shouting and singing and noise, and it was like a constant parade. Part of it was a parade, but part of it was just the people. So almost all night long, we woke up really tired in the morning. We went to the conference, did our thing, and then we had a Sunday session. We were going to go back on Monday. So they said, "Did you get bus tickets back?" "Oh no, we didn't. We better." So we went down to the bus station to get bus tickets back on Monday morning to get back to our place. And they said, "Oh no, there's no bus tickets available. It's Carnival. Everybody came up here for that, and they're all going back. And we don't have any bus tickets till the end of the week. You might try the train station." So I said, "Okay." One of the train stations, they said, "Oh yeah, we have trains leaving all the time. You get a train." I said, "Okay, fine. Let's look at the schedule, whatever." But we didn't get the schedule. We went back, and the next day was Sunday, and we had our thing. And then we said, "Well, we'll get up tomorrow morning, just go to the train," because they said nobody rides the train hardly. We didn't know nobody rides the train because they break down all the time and it's a hard time to go anywhere. So we went in to the train station the next morning and said we want to go ahead and get on the train going back to Pando, which was down near Montevideo. And he says, "Oh, the train just left." "It just left?" "Yeah, there'll be another one tomorrow." I said, "Oh, we can't wait till tomorrow. We got to be back this afternoon. We've got to." I said, "Well, I'm sorry." So we went back out, and our taxi guy, all four of us hopped in a taxi to get there. to the train station. He was out there in the taxi line to pick up someone to go out, and we went out, and he was there. And we said, well, I guess we need to go back to the place and see if we can get another night. And he said, what's the problem? I said, well, the train already left. How long ago did it leave? About 10, 15 minutes. He said, no problem, I can catch the train, I'll get you to the next stop. Well, how much? We don't know how much it's going to be. And he said, $20, but it wasn't, it was in pesos. And so we said, okay, that's 5 each. Yeah, I got an extra 5, you got an extra 5. Oh yeah, okay, we'll do it. You sure you can catch it? Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, so we hopped in the taxi, and off he took and went down this kind of windy highway road around. Pretty soon we passed the train. There was the train coming along. We passed the train, kept going for a while, and they stopped out by some cattle cars, and there was this X sign that said Parada, which is train stop. There was no train station, no nothing, nobody there. Take the ticket. We said, wait a minute, who's going to take our ticket? Oh, they'll stop. Just stand right here. When the train comes, if they see someone, they'll stop. You can buy a ticket from the conductor. Are you sure? Yeah, no problem. All right. So we stood out there. He left. We were way out in the middle of nowhere, some cows and stuff, and just grassland around. Oh boy, I hope this works. Sure enough, the train came along, saw us there, stopped, we got on, we bought tickets, and one of the guys says, well, I want to have first class. He goes, no, they're all the same. But there was first class coaches and regular coaches, and then there was sleeping cars. And so we went and sat in first class, and that was no problem. The poorly dressed people sat in the other ones, and nicely dressed people sat in the first class, and we had our suits and stuff on, so we got to sit in first class. And there were big white benches and stuff, and we were reading the scriptures and doing things, and came along. We should have got our first hint when the taxi driver passed the train what kind of a trip it was going to be, because they pulled into a town, and the platform was just level with the car, so you could just step right over the platform. And they had people selling sandwiches and stuff and newspapers. We got a newspaper, read it, and did some stuff. And it was at that stop for half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Then they took off. So they said, okay, get on. So we kept going. And then the next time they stopped, and they said, we're going to be here a couple of hours because the engine is not working right. We have to get a new engine for the train. And they're bringing one over to us. So I said, okay, fine. And wow, we're not going to get home for, on the bus it took us about 5 or 6 hours. Well, it's going to be 10 hours before we get home. Well, it was 24 hours. They changed the engines twice. Finally, we went and said, are those sleeping cars there? And they said, yes, but they're very expensive. I said, how much? And they were 50 cents extra. So we all got our own sleeping car, and we'd be in there asleep, and they were pretty cool because the sink folded and the beds folded, and it was just like you see in the movies, in England, because this was an English railroad. And they said when the English ran it, later they said when the English ran it was always on time. Then they nationalized it. Uruguay nationalized it, and the Uruguayans run it, and it had never been on time since. And everything is always breaking. But we'd stop at the little towns, and people would come and get sticks and run them along the side of the car, bam, 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 and shout and bound on the thing, because they knew those were sleeping cars, and they wanted to wake you up. So we did that all night, and so needless to say, 24 hours when we got home, we were still pretty tired, and we had a hard time getting back in the groove. It was really quite an experience.